For the first time, the IDF has ordered all residents to flee Beirut's southern suburbs as airstrikes intensify. This marks a massive escalation in the Lebanon front, with the military preparing for a full clearance operation. President Trump has replaced Kristi Noem with Senator Mark Wayne Mullen as Secretary of Homeland Security. Noem will transition to a new role as Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas Security Initiative. The U.S. Treasury has granted India a 30-day emergency window to purchase stranded Russian oil cargoes. This temporary move aims to stabilize global energy markets as Middle East supplies remain largely paralyzed. Over 200 crew members were rescued from the Aaron's Busher after it became stranded near Sri Lankan waters. This follows the high-profile sinking of another Iranian frigate by a U.S. submarine earlier this week. Beijing has set its GDP target at 4.5% to 5.0%, its lowest in years. During the National People's Congress, leaders cited the total collapse of energy supply chains as a primary risk to the domestic economy. President Trump has declared he must be personally involved in selecting Iran's next supreme leader to ensure a settlement is reached. He rejected the late Ayatollah Khamenei's son, Mojtaba, as a lightweight, comparing the situation to his recent intervention in Venezuela. The escalating conflict has paralyzed the Strait of Hormuz, a critical artery for one-third of the global fertilizer trade, just as the spring planting season begins. With major production hubs in Qatar and the UAE facing drone strikes and soaring insurance costs, prices for urea have jumped by over $80 per ton, threatening a massive spike in global food inflation. Beijing has launched urgent high-level talks with Tehran to secure safe passage for tankers carrying crude oil and Qatari liquefied natural gas through the blocked waterway. As China relies on the strait for 45% of its oil, reports indicate Iran may allow only Chinese-flagged vessels to transit while maintaining a total blockade against Western-aligned nations. And now for the top stories of this hour. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has warned that a ground invasion of Iran would be a disaster for the nation's enemies. In a recent interview, Araghchi has stated that Iran is fully prepared for such a scenario, asserting confidence in the country's ability to defend itself. Moreover, Araghchi has also addressed the possibility of a ceasefire with the United States and Israel, stating that Iran is not seeking a ceasefire and sees no reason to negotiate with Washington. Araghchi recalls previous negotiations with the U.S. where Iran felt attacked mid-negotiation, expressing disillusion with the approach of the U.S. government. This comes as U.S. President Trump earlier said that Iran was reaching out about negotiating a deal with the United States, with Trump indicating that the U.S. is willing to discuss terms, but only under its conditions. And now joining us is Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, former Indian diplomat, joining us from New Delhi. Sir, if there is essentially no ceasefire, then when will we know that the war essentially has come to an end? Please.
A good question and an impossible one to reply to. But my own hunch is that we would know when Mr. Trump decides that he has won the war and can go home to his MAGA base. To happen, he would need some tangible changes, either an agreement with Iran, which is stronger than JCPOA, and incorporate some elements of other areas such as missiles and proxies to be included in such an agreement. This looks unlikely at this stage, although He keeps on giving us signals that Iran wants to negotiate. Iranians seem to have denied it altogether. As you yourself quoted Foreign Minister Araghchi. Otherwise, the war would possibly end with when a large human or military tragedy takes place, in the sense that a large-scale collateral death of a large number of Iranians could increase the demand for at international arena and horrify enough countries to set against United States and Israel. Secondly, in case Iran is able to achieve some kind of demonstrable harm to United States, like sinking a large US Navy vessel or killing a number of American soldiers, then perhaps clamor within the United States may go up about the war being not a wise strategy to follow. Lastly, a tapering off of the conflict as we get closer to September, that is being talked about, within an earshot of next US congressional midterm elections in November, would also be a possibility, because the war is unpopular. Only 26% of Americans polled last week wanted this war to be pursued, while 58% apparently were against Israeli policies guiding United States. So all put together, the fear of electoral votes at the midterm election in November going against Republican Party may press them to persuade White House to stop the war. Relevant to note that while Republican Party has majority in both houses of the of U.S. Congress, it is likely to shed that majority as the portents appear now to Democrats, and Democrats may use that majority to initiate impeachment trial of President Trump, who has faced 2 impeachments even before, about Epstein files and other matters that are related to his second term. Thank you.
Please stay with us, sir. We'll be right back with you. In a related development, Iran has claimed that its Revolutionary Guard Corps has targeted the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier with drones in the Gulf of Oman. According to Iran state TV, the strike led to the marine carrier and its escorting destroyers fleeing the region, with the vessels now more than 1,000 kilometers away. However, the Pentagon has denied the claim, saying that the drones did not even come close to the carrier. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister has also stated that the country currently has no intention of closing the Strait of Hormuz, which happens to be a key waterway allowing a significant portion of global oil supplies pass through it. Next up, Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has shared that he spoke with Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi on the ongoing Middle East crisis. The Ministry of External Affairs has also stressed the urgency of securing the interests of the nearly 10 million Indians living across the Middle East region, while also stating that it is working to stabilize trade and energy supply chains that have been affected by the conflict. With oil and natural gas prices surging, India, the world's second largest crude importer, has expressed deep concerns over the impact on its economy. Joining us now live again is Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, former Indian diplomat, joining us live from New Delhi. Sir, in your experience, or rather, what intel do you have of how India is or have been preparing for instances like this? Do they essentially have fertilizers stocked up as far as food security is concerned? Do they also have an oil reserve as far as energy security is concerned? Please tell me more.
Thank you. That's a vital question and needs to be attended to by our policymakers. As far as hydrocarbons are concerned, the news is pretty reassuring. Firstly, we do have up to 2 months of strategic petroleum reserves at the current rate of the denial of Strait of Hormuz based oil. As far as gas is concerned, we are half self-reliant and other half being imported. 90% of it came from Qatar, which is denied to us through Strait of Hormuz. So for that, India is in touch with countries as far as Australia and Canada to get additional LNG supplies. It may take a bit of time to negotiate and to get the consignments, due to which the Petronet and GAIL have alerted their end users. Fertilizer-wise, India has a fairly high degree of self-reliance in nitrogenous fertilizers, although naphtha, that are feedstocks that feeds into this type of fertilizers, is majorly imported from the same area as the Gulf. Potassium-based fertilizers are imported from Jordan and Morocco, and those are not really affected by Strait of Hormuz related issues. But if Bab el-Mandeb gets affected by Houthis, then we would have a bit more logistical difficulties in getting those consignments. Here, the Rabi season is nearly over. No fertilizer is apparently needed. And the Kharif season is to start only when the rains set in. So the requirement of fertilizers is going to be a bit deferred for another 4 or 5 months. But this contingency of Strait of Hormuz being closed would raise the fertilizer prices and make us more dependent on import of fertilizers from Russia and Ukraine, which remains a possibility. Thank you.
Please stay with us, sir. We'll be right back with you. Next up, Sri Lanka has taken control of an Iranian naval vessel off its coast, just the day after the U.S. sank an Iranian warship in the same waters. The Aaron's Busher requested to dock in Sri Lanka after experiencing engine malfunctions. After hours of discussions, the country allowed the ship to dock at a northeastern port. Sri Lanka maintained its neutrality, stating that it would not take sides in the U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake said the country would always protect human lives. Listen in.
යනුව තමයි ඉරානයේ මේ නෞකාවන් දෙකක් පිළිබඳ ප්‍රශ්න මතුවී තිබෙන්නේ. එහිදීත් අපි අනුගමනය කරමින් තිබෙන්නේ මධ්‍යස්ථභාවය. හැබැයි ඒ වගේම අපි ජාතියක් ලෙස රාජ්‍යයක් ලෙස කිසිසේත්ම මධ්‍යස්ථභාවය ආරක්ෂා කරන ගමන් මානුෂවාදය මනුස්සත්වය අපි අංකයකට තියෙනවා. එනිසා අපි කිසිසේත්ම පැකිලෙන්නේ නැහැ. මනුස්සත්වය ආරක්ෂා කර ගැනීම සඳහා මිනිස් ජීවිත ආරක්ෂා කර ගැනීම සඳහා ගත යුතු ක්‍රියාමාර්ග තිබෙනවා නම් ඒ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගැනීමට අපි කිසිසේත්ම පැකිලීමක් ලක් කරන්නේ නැහැ. කිසිදු පුරවැසියෙක් මෙවැනි අනවරත යුද්ධයකින් මිය යුතු කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරන්නේ නැහැ. අපි රාජ්‍යයක් හැටියට අපේ ප්‍රවේශය බවට පත් වෙන්නේ සෑම පුරවැසියන්ගේ ජීවිතය තමන්ගේ ජීවිතය හා සමාන කරමින් සැලකීම තමයි අපේ අපේක්ෂාව. ඒ අනුව තමයි අපි මේ තීරණ අරගෙන කටයුතු කරමින් තිබෙන්නේ.
And now joining us live again is Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, former Indian diplomat. He's joining us live from New Delhi. Sir, essentially Sri Lanka has involved themselves in the U.S.-Israeli conflict against Iran now. Do you believe this will put them on the map for attacks from the U.S. and Israel? Of course, they're not fully involving themselves in the sense that they don't want a regime change or they don't have ballistic missiles or nuclear capabilities, but they have essentially assisted an Iranian vessel. Does this put them in the side or line of fire? What are your thoughts, please?
Not essentially. Let's go to the background of Sri Lanka's relations with Iran. Iran is the biggest buyer of Sri Lankan tea, which is the country's main export. And in return, Iran used to sell them oil, which has become a bit more difficult to be done. But the tea exports to Iran are very, very significant for Sri Lankan economy. Having said that, the first instance of a sinking of an Iranian ship, Iris Dina, by the U.S. submarine in the exclusive economic zone, but not in the territorial water of Sri Lanka, presented it with a humanitarian issue because no warning was given before the ship was sank. A lot of sailors were adrift and a lot of them had died. So, willy-nilly being in the proximity, Sri Lankan authorities took care of the survivors and also the dead bodies, etc. That has happened. In the meantime, the second Iranian ship was to traverse back to the Gulf and to Iranian ports, but then it feared the same kind of sinking by the Americans who preponderate in the Arabian Sea. So it has sought a bit of safe harbor facilities in Sri Lanka, which has been provided against a long winding explanation by the president saying that Sri Lanka does not wish to involve itself in the war, and they would stay neutral, and the ship would be kept in safe custody. So that is all that there is to it. The way war winds up would determine what happens to the ship and the sailors. In case Americans are able to ensure their own regime in Tehran, then obviously the ship and its sailors would have to go back to the new government. Otherwise, the United States may demand that the ship be kept in Sri Lanka, or like many in the Latin American country, Venezuela, the ship is forfeited by Americans for belonging to an enemy country. And Sri Lanka would have to take a call at that time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day. Now, moving on, according to reports, the death toll from Israeli airstrikes on Lebanon has risen to 123. The latest round of attacks targeted the southern suburbs of Beirut, causing further destruction. Lebanese state media reported that the strikes came after Israel issued an evacuation warning to residents of the area. Meanwhile, Israel's military has confirmed it began targeting Hezbollah infrastructure in Beirut's southern suburb of Dahieh. As the conflict intensifies, Israel has ordered its troops to deepen their line of control along the southern Lebanese border, escalating its operation against Hezbollah. The military operation follows Hezbollah's response to the killing of Iran's supreme leader, which pulled Lebanon into the ongoing regional conflict. Let's listen to what this comment is.
חיזבאללה ביצע טעות אסטרטגית, ובניגוד לאינטרסים של אזרחי לבנון, בחר להצטרף למערכה. הוא משלם על כך מחיר כבד. אנחנו תוקפים בעוצמה, בחזית ובעומק לבנון. פקדתי על כוחות צה"ל לנוע קדימה ולהעמיק את קו השליטה בגבול, תוך התמקמות בנקודות מפתח בדרום לבנון.
And now joining us is Shruti Dasgupta, International Affairs Analyst, joining us live from New Delhi. Ma'am, what do you believe Lebanon needs to secure as far as a deal or their interests to essentially back out of these further attacks against Israel, and then of course to essentially not be in the line of sight or fire with regards to Israel and their retaliatory attacks? Do you believe they have such interests, or are they only the entire kind of guidance of Iran, and will they not back down until, of course, Iran doesn't back down or the war ends completely?
Greetings to you, Roshan. What I understand is Lebanon's problem with Israel is not just beginning or ending with this Iran war. They've been at it even before the Hamas October 7th attack. Basically because the existence of Hezbollah, they've had wars. Israel and Lebanon have had wars where Israel has gone in and captured. So it's not, the enmity is not new. The ideology of Hezbollah has always been a problem for Israel. And although Hezbollah is armed as a non-state actor of Iran, Lebanon as a nation has tried in the recent past to ask Hezbollah to de-arm, disengage, to have nothing to do with Israel or the Palestinian cause. They've been unsuccessful. In fact, the Lebanese parliament has also tried to ask them to surrender arms, and the pro-Hezbollah faction have walked out of it. So Lebanon, via government, has tried to walk out of its conflict with Israel and has found itself unable to do so because Hezbollah and its ideology is deeply entrenched in at least part of the nation and its people. So now when Israel sends out a warning that vacate because we will be taking down this infrastructure, why is it doing so? It's doing so not because it's attacking Iran, it's because Hezbollah has decided to take up the mantle of revenge for Iran and is trying to attack Iran or Iranian soil. You cannot open a multi-front war, at least on the small strip of land that Israel is in compared to the rest of the Middle East. So they need to attack first, get those elements out, make those facilities not usable by Hezbollah or their commanders, and ensure a semi-quasi level of peace for themselves in this particular conflict. Lebanon has been repeatedly asking Hezbollah to bow out. They haven't been successful. What has happened now is that Macron released a statement recently in the last few hours, and he has said that they will try and work with Lebanese government and see how they can be disengaged. The people of Lebanon can be disengaged because from what UN reports, about 38,000 people have had to flee from that region, specifically towards Syria, to find some sort of refuge away from the bombs that are incoming from Israel. Local people of Lebanon do not want to be caught in the crossfire, but they have no choice when Hezbollah takes up the mantle of revenge. And Israel decides that it will eliminate every single one of Iran's non-state actors while acting on IRGC and Iran itself. So it's a conflict that has deeper conversations happening. Unfortunately, Lebanon is caught right in the middle of it.
Please stay with us, ma'am. We'll be right back with you. Next up, rapper turned politician Balendra Shah's party has gained leads in early counting in Nepal's general election, far outpacing his other rivals, including the country's former prime minister, who was forced to resign after a historic youth-led uprising last year. Shah, former mayor of the capital city of Kathmandu, has dominated the race to become Nepal's PM during the campaign, gaining popularity across the country. Shah's centrist Rashtriya Swatantra Party, which was founded 3 years ago, was leading in 37 seats, while former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's Communist Party of Nepal was leading in 3. Early counting trends from the election mission. Joining us live again now is Shruti Dasgupta, International Affairs Analyst, joining us live from New Delhi. Ma'am, we're seeing a trend in politics where there have been, say, in the case of Trump, businessmen turned politicians, in this case, rapper turned politician. Is this advantageous for the New World Order, or more specifically for what's happening in Nepal? Do you see, like I just said, advantages? Please tell me more. What do you think?
This is not the only rapper in the world who's taken on a mayoral post or is right now leading in elections. We have Zohran Mamdani from New York itself, a rapper turned politician. So this is a trend not just in the developing world or South Asia or any other nation where a Gen Z revolution is happening. There are a large number of people in the youth believe that now power should rest in the hands of the youth. And that is reflected in both Zohran Mamdani's case as well as Balendra Shah's case. Balendra Shah is a proponent of Nepal first policy, which is something very remnant of what Trump says, very remnant of what Maldives was saying a while ago, what Bangladesh was saying. Every nation now wants to put its own interests first, and that's how it should be for their foreign policy. I don't know why somehow the narrative gets twisted in certain ways there. The youth are meant to feel that their nation is being taken advantage of. In the case of Nepal, unfortunately, it was being taken advantage of. The Communist Party under KP Oli was deeply corrupt. While the people were struggling for healthcare and education, the KP Oli party and their children were flaunting their luxuries right in the face using social media. So that was actually a ground-up offensive where they said, when we do not even have bread to eat, why would you be allowed to flaunt $1 million bags? And what about the entire communist ideology that you sold to us in the name of equality when your children are enjoying in the lap of luxury while we are struggling for our basic daily needs? Balendra Shah, despite being a rapper, is extremely popular, and he is a likely candidate to take up office. Unfortunately, as a mayor of Nepal, even as a mayoral candidate, his works were not significant enough to show us exactly what his foreign policy would be, what his national policy would be. He'd recently walked into politics. He's good with words. We hope that his Rashtriya Swatantra Party would have decent consultants at hand to help them shape the new Nepal, putting Nepal first and its people first, and its nation and its own personal growth first before they try and engage with either China, India, or any other international power. KP Oli is, despite being dethroned via the Gen Z revolution, continues to be one of the contenders. So that shows you exactly how divided it is. Nepal is about a 40% youth electorate nation. About 52% of Nepal is young, below 40, and the electors are about 40%. So the results that we are seeing are not surprising, because these people actually stood on the streets and demanded equality. So Balendra Shah coming to power would not be a surprise. I would be surprised if KP Oli comes back to power in any way or form, even as an opposition leader, because there was a time when he had to be evacuated out of that region. Otherwise, he would have faced bodily harm. So there is a bigger question for Nepal to answer, why KP Oli still continues to get a few seats and his party continues to be in favor in certain sections, and what motivates them to continue to keep voting for a person that they found to be extremely corrupt and very personal in enjoying their own personal legacy and hierarchy in the Communist Party. The only other contender I find is another Nepali Congress Party personnel whom I have not seen gaining in any other races. So that is a little bit disappointing. But both Balen Shah, commonly known as Balen, and Thapa of Nepali Congress Party, both were pro-India, just pro-Nepal first. So hopefully the people that do come into power would be people of not anti-India or ideology, specifically for a nation that has shares a large amount of border with India.
Thank you so much for those insights, ma'am. Much appreciated. Next up, U.S. Ambassador to India, Sergio Gore, has said that he had a good discussion with Commander General Stephen Whiting, who is in India. Gore has added that space is a critical frontier, and the United States and India are deepening collaboration to ensure security and stability. Next up, the U.S. Department of Defense has officially designated the artificial intelligence lab Anthropic as a supply chain risk to America's national security. This designation was confirmed yesterday after a letter was sent to Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei. The move marks a major development in the ongoing tension between the startup and the Pentagon. The DoD's decision comes after a long standoff over the use of Anthropic's AI models, known as Claude. The Pentagon reportedly demanded unrestricted access to these models for all lawful purposes, while Anthropic sought assurances that its technology would not be used in fully autonomous weapons or domestic surveillance. Despite the designation, reports say that the DoD has been using Anthropic's technology to support military operations, including in Iran, as the conflict in the Middle East region continues to escalate. The Pentagon's latest decision will require defense contractors to certify that they will not use Anthropic's models in any military work. Investors and industry observers are closely watching the situation, as it could impact companies like Palantir, which partners with Anthropic and relies on government contracts for a significant portion of its revenue. That's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.